Welcome back to Healing, Empowering, Accepting, and Living, a podcast sponsored by Change by Fire. We are so grateful to be a part of your ongoing journeys in life toward healing and wholeness and wellness. My name is Jen, and I am a burn survivor. And
my name is Lori, and I am a 15-year burn advocate, clinical social worker, and holistic trauma therapist. And we're going to start with a little recap of our last episode, which was episode 4 of season 8. Can you believe we've already been to 8 seasons already?
Oh, my Lanta.
Crazy. Hospital helpers reflecting on the heart. We had an open discussion with Dave, with Jen, with myself, just about therapy role insights, supports, and healing offered, and had a nice gratitude share for those roles in the hospital and outpatient setting. We ended with a takeaway in our gratitude hug, really offering that felt sense of comfort and support while also recognizing and appreciating strength and accomplishments. We would love to hear how you might have used, shared, and applied that technique forward.
Yes. And this episode, which is episode 5, helpers in the hospital, social workers, coordinating complex care. So this episode, we're continuing conversations with another vital and important role in the burn center and healing, and that's the burn social worker. So you might remember yours, or the name or role might have been hidden in the myriad of helps that they offered behind the scenes. So let's learn more about this powerhouse of a role in the burn center that impacts each life and case that enters. Are you ready to explore? Let's get healing.
So just what is a social worker? According to the National Association of Social Workers, a respected national organization of social work resourcing and community, social work is a profession for those who really have a strong desire to help impact and improve people's lives. Social workers assist people by helping them cope with issues in their everyday lives, deal with relationships, and solve personal and family problems. Social workers can help in a myriad of different settings: hospital, healthcare, with clients who face various health issues. They can work in nonprofit community sectors to really address housing, unemployment, substance issues, and in other community and private settings addressing family relationships, conflicts. Social workers additionally often conduct a lot of research to really vet further change needs, advocate for improvements in services and designs, and are involved in planning, policies, efforts affecting more quality care amidst the challenges of many sectors of living. Is that or is that not a powerhouse? I mean, yes. How many different things are possible in the context of this profession?
There are so many possibilities. Mm-hmm. And as I understand it, it can be sort of like, I don't know if spiritually or emotionally, or it can have a big impact. Like it can be draining if you don't protect yourself. You know what I mean? Like to give yourself so much to your community and then get home and just feel like, so maybe we'll talk to our guest today a little about how that
I think that would be a great conversation.
Yeah. So social workers are often individuals that are stretched in many areas, their capacity, and they put their heart and their energy, their creative spirits to task to affect further change, which is wonderful and noble. These are individuals that so often platform and inspire further support needs and really network an interdisciplinary team together when coordinating care and treatment for a certain population. So they are like the glue of an interdisciplinary team. Mm-hmm. That requires sometimes multiple professionals and care systems in attendance for the needs and supports of the patient.
I
right?
love that, like, metaphor. It's like the glue. They do kind of carry and intervene and help support and maintain just so many moving parts in a variety of areas that social workers work in. And it makes sense that a burn center would have a social worker, or hopefully more than one, in order to really navigate the various tasks in burn healing. In addition to professionals supporting the physical healing process, a burn social worker often really helps families and patients deal with psychological, emotional, social issues that often can really complicate those types of injuries. Hospitalization and treatment, discharge planning, further support needs. This individual really helps gather, integrate information, resources needed in healing, support family members in understanding what's going on, individuals in understanding what's going on, providing further information and resources to survivors, family, staff alike. This is no small task on a daily basis.
Well, we are so elated to have with us today from the local Valley, Arizona Burn Center at Valleywise Health, H.E.A.L.ing, the amazing social worker there. Yay! And a burn survivor as well, which is like kind of a cool little combo. And she has her own insight to give, which is amazing. She's going to speak with us a little further about her role in the burn healing journey. So, Ashley, I've known you for many years now, and you are a burn survivor as well as your role as a social worker. So, how did your injury affect any of that impetus towards your current role as a social worker in the burn center? And part two, how do you find that it might augment and expand what you do?
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. And that was a beautiful explanation of what social workers do, because I don't think that everybody understands what exactly goes into that role. And I think I do bring a unique perspective because I am also a burn survivor. I think that's one of the aspects that really allows my team to have a lot of trust in a lot of the recommendations or things that I say. Because I have that lived experience. I think that my journey to start wanting to work in the burn community, Lori well, you might be better at the year. I don't remember how long ago it was. I was working in child welfare, and that's all I have ever done in social work. And I honestly was thinking the other day, I don't remember the year. I stumbled upon the Arizona Burn Foundation and was trying to just connect with another burn survivor. I'd never met anybody, and I was, I think, 27 at the time, and I was burned when I was 18 months old, and I had never met another burn survivor.
Wow.
And that was when I met Lori and got connected with support group and started as a SOAR volunteer at the hospital and really found a lot of like value and fulfillment in being able to provide support to survivors who are going through one of, if not the hardest part of their life. You know, I know Dr. Foster has said recently, if you ask a burn survivor what's the worst day of their life, it's generally going to be the day that their injury happened. And how you take that injury and what you do with that going forward, everybody's different. I see a lot of burn survivors that are inspiring and resilient and take that injury and use it to power forward and make change and leave a lasting impact. And that's what I try to do. When patients and their families come to the hospital, I want to make sure that they know there is a community out there for them. They're not alone. We live in a burn bubble in the hospital, but when you leave outside of that, there is still that support. And I think that's really important because I didn't have that and my family didn't have that.
So to you, and again, like I love like how you almost found your way back into the burn community and kind of into a deeper role in the burn community and in the burn center. What does being a social worker in the burn center mean to you, and what value do you really get out of that role?
It's a great question. I am the only one, as you pointed out, and
there needs to be more.
We have one of the largest burn centers. We have a 50-bed unit, and I I want to say, because this stuck out to me last week. So last week was the American Burn Association conference we had in here in Phoenix. And we were able to share with other burn professionals. They were able to come and tour the new facility. We're really, really proud of the space and want to share that with others. And I did a private tour with a couple of colleagues in the burn community. And one of the physicians was like, "How many beds is this?" And I said, "Oh, it's a 50-bed unit." And he just looked at me and I was like, "Yeah, it's a big unit. We have, the emergency room, the clinic, the burn north, burn ICU, burn peds." And he said, "And how many social workers are there?" And I said, "One." And he said, "One?" And I said, "Yes, one." And he goes, "But it's 50 beds." And I said, "Yes, I know." He just kind of kept repeating it. And I said, "Well, we have nurse case managers." And he said, "But they're not the same." And I said, I understand, but the beauty of the team that I work with in care management is we are able to cross over. And that's how we've been able to be so successful, right now with our patients. My role, I think, is unique, as you kind of mentioned. Like, I feel like I am the glue in the team. Everybody loves reading my notes because I always get all the juicy gossip and the details. And in general, I'm just a very detail oriented person. So how I document, I want to make sure it's very clear, the facts. And so I think that goes a long way with the team understanding and getting all the information that they need. So, it may sound silly, but like allergies, past medical history, sometimes I have to navigate some really difficult family relationships and family dynamics. And so I usually get pulled up to deal with that. And I think that lots of experience working in child welfare has kind of helped me navigate some of those difficult conversations. Being present for, families and patients, whatever it is they need. Sometimes they just need the space to talk, and maybe not talk, just have somebody there to listen, but always making sure that they know about the resources. That's something I'm really think is important. I have a resource packet I've put together when I started 5 years ago. That was my number one mission. I wanted patients and families to know there are resources out there. I don't want them going out trying to find this. I have something that is just kind of like a starting point. And then as they progress with us, because our lengths of stay are long, a burn injury can take, sometimes a couple weeks to heal, and surgeries and things like that. And so I wanted to kind of make sure I gave them something that they could start with. And then as we're checking in throughout the week and their time there, giving them additional resources that are needed and just really being that support.
I think the increase in resources provision has been one of the greatest impacts you've made that was really, really, really needed prior to your start there. So I love that you've been so kind of instrumental in really spearheading that and kind of carrying that forward.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so what are some of the hardest aspects of your job as a social worker? Like, how do you motivate yourself and others on those days to keep going and continue the quality of care that you guys give?
Yeah. So the summers are always really hard, and I'm just trying to rally everybody. We live in a oven here.
Yeah, we do.
And so I just think that, when I go to work every day, it's not about me. It's not about what I'm going through. It's about what the patient and the family is going through and what they need. And always kind of having that in the forefront of my mind when I'm dealing with each patient interaction. I want patients and families to be treated the way I would want to be treated, and I would want my family member to be treated. And I think that's what I teach my students that I have. But I also tell myself, don't get me wrong, there are some days where you can get caught up in the magnitude of everything going on and have to reset. Hard days are the summer. The summers are hard. Every day feels like you're just trying to keep your head above water. Anytime a patient passes away is a hard day, especially ones that are there for a very long period of time, and you build that relationship and connection with the family. That's always hard. I don't feel like you ever kind of get the closure that you need. And you just wish the outcome would have been different. But I think that one thing I try to remember is just making sure that we provide the best care. We show up to work to do what we love every day, and that's what I do. And making sure that we treat everybody the way we would want to be treated, and our family members. That's sounds cliche and it sounds silly, but that's the simplest thing that I do every day when I go to work. And when I get caught up in, oh my gosh, this summer it's so busy, I just try to remind myself I can't accomplish everything in one day. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a job.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get everything done in one day. That's why we have, 7 days in the week, which still doesn't seem like enough. But I think that's what I have to tell myself. And I do forget that often. I can sit here and say that, but a lot of times I will overextend myself and make sure that it's done the right way because I want it to be done best for the patient and the family.
I love that mindfulness and really showing up in a quality way for their needs and keeping their needs and their experience at the forefront over your own. And I think that's something that can happen so often in many fields in life, but I think it's hard in those care fields. You check your needs and whatever you're bringing in at the door so that you can fully be there and show up for another. Flip side, for you, what are some of the more encouraging and really fulfilling parts of your role as a social worker, and how do you use or maybe even capture those moments to propel you forward?
I sometimes struggle more recently, kind of like during the holidays, was kind of struggling a little bit with feeling connected in my role. And then, we had a very unfortunate circumstance where we had some patients that were flown to us from Hawaii. And I think that, they were with us for about 90 days ish. And I can't put it into words. Everybody asks me, I can't figure out the words quite yet, but it was like, I needed that. This sounds terrible for me to say that. I felt recharged. And it sounds strange to say that because, unfortunately these 6 families are going through horrible tragedy. But they enveloped us with so much kindness and love and appreciation and gratitude. And it was like, even when we delivered terrible news, we weren't like getting crapped on. I don't know if that makes sense. I just think that was like the recharge that I needed. And I had quite a few of my coworkers say that because I really showed up for all 6 of those families and like really poured my heart and soul into being available. I mean, this sounds silly, but I made like this one pager. I was like, oh, they're coming from the Hawaiian Islands, or they're not going to know how to navigate like our traffic. They're not going to, maybe they don't know what an HOV lane is, or like, how far away, Queen Creek is from Phoenix. And so I put this like one pager with like, rush hour times, distance, what freeways to avoid. Always make sure you wear footwear. That was a big one. Just kind of this one pager with like little things that you probably wouldn't think about. Emergency numbers, like our local emergency numbers, hospitals. So it just kind of was like, they're coming from the islands, and that's scary. Some of them had never traveled off the island before. And so for me, it was really doing those things and realizing, okay, I did this for this specific group of patients that came, but I can implement this for anybody who comes from out of state or maybe who comes from out of town. So while, yes, I did it for that, kind of reflecting back on, I actually am doing this for the bigger picture. And that made me feel good. And then just kind of taking this step, we made patient posters, like kind of get to know you, get well posters. We tend to do those a lot for our pediatric patients, but we don't always do them for our adult patients. And I really wanted these patients to feel at home. So had family members send photos. And again, while yes, I'm saying I did this for these families, I'm recognizing that these are standards that we should just kind of do all the time and have been trying to implement more. And I feel like that gives me more gratitude and fulfillment in getting to know them a little bit more. I feel like I ask some really intense questions, especially when I have to ask like substance use or like complex family dynamics. So I really get in there and get some details. And so you have to be able to build that rapport and that trust. And sometimes the patients and families will come to me and ask me questions about a dressing change or, something specific about surgery. And I kind of function as a liaison to bring the rest of the team in, whether that's, the PA or the attending physician or a resident, and help facilitate that communication in a way that they understand. And so I think a lot of it is like just knowing that families and patients have that trust in me. And if I say I'm going to do something, it's rest assured going to get done.
You are most indeed a follow through person, but I love also how like this almost reset of your system by it's like when others show up with a sense of kindness and gratitude, that was like your recharge space so that then you could circle back and continue to provide and keep providing kindness and gratitude and figure out ways that you could expand your role and the role and supports of the hospital and the staff there to give these individuals what they need, and individuals and families that frequent the burn center even more, kind of to cater to their inclusions of their whole selves in healing.
When we talk about, the patients and their families, but you're doing these segments on the people that help the burn survivors and their families, right?
Yeah.
And so recognizing that I've got to figure out ways to kind of like build morale and rally the team, because if we're not all rallied and have that morale, then it affects our patient care.
Oh, 100%.
And so I think that's really important too. And just been doing some like just little fun social things at work. Just checking in. Hey, how's it going? You don't always have to call somebody out by saying like, oh, I noticed you were crying in the corner today. But just, some of that, because the cases are hard. We deal with some really complex, heavy trauma. And we don't always, I think, remember to check in on the people that are helping everyone else, because we're always so focused on helping the patients and their family members to make sure that they feel okay and they feel supported. But we're human too.
Yeah. And with all of the various roles in the hospital, how do you feel others see your role in the burn healing? Like, has there been any difficulty you've had to work with in order to access and allow for your services and showcase the value of the skills and resources you can provide? Ooh, she's got a little.
Can you guess who wanted to ask you this question?
Oh, Lori. Oh, Lori. I feel like that was your question.
This is funny how I'm the one that asked it. Social worker.
Yes.
Sneaky.
I think the role of a burn social worker is not the same as a social worker in the hospital.
Yeah.
Our patient population is very different. The needs are very different. The length of stay is different. It's not just, I broke a leg, slap a cast on it, in 6 weeks you'll be better. This is a long-term injury. And whether that means you have to come back for, reconstruction or laser treatments or, future grafting, whatever, everybody's different. This is still an injury that you have to live with, not just physically, but psychologically. Right. So I think that that's a really, really big deal. And thing that I hope all burn centers can understand the importance and need of the social worker and their role, and recognize that this patient population really needs a dedicated social worker just to that floor.
Or more than one.
Or more than one, please. It's a very unique population, and it's hard to find people that have the passion or interest. Very lucky to be able to host social work students at Valleywise, specifically in the burn center. And I've had, I think, like 13 students now. And I have a handful that have ever expressed an interest in wanting to stay or like work in a burn center. And it's just, I guess, a curse and a blessing. We're the only burn center in Arizona. There aren't enough. So you'd have to relocate to go somewhere else. Yeah. But it's fulfilling in that way to know that I'm spreading, the importance of this patient population and the needs, and that there is an interest out there.
I love that. Off that same kind of question, how do you, I know a big aspect of your particular role in the burn center is kind of building that sense of rapport and kind of building a sense of morale. So how do you introduce yourself in kind of the more professional and in the patient family sessions or sectors to really kind of share about who you are, what you do, and really kind of be that bridge as you are?
So what I usually do is I will go in and I will introduce myself. I'm H.E.A.L.ing. I'm the social worker in the burn center. I meet with every patient who comes on the burn center. I feel like it's important that I also emphasize that when I see pediatric patients, because a lot of times parents can kind of have a guard up or be a little standoffish because you hear social work, immediately probably think, oh no, child protective services. But I like to reinforce right up front that I meet with every burn patient that comes on the service. I do an intake assessment initially, helps me gather information for discharge planning when it is time. And I always emphasize that doesn't mean you're leaving right now. Sometimes people think discharge, wait a minute, I just got here. And I just say that I'm just going to go over some, general information, kind of get some, confirm some demographics, find out like your prior level of functioning, like who your support system is and kind of walk through those. Is it okay if I ask you some questions? And then depending on the patient, sometimes I'll just say, the good news is I'm not going to poke you. Bad news is I got to ask you some annoying questions. And I almost every time have somebody who laughs, especially at the poke, because it's like, oh gosh, please don't tell me you're coming in to wear, do my dressings. One thing that is a little unique, everybody in the burn center wears purple. Our department has us wear black scrubs. So even though I would like to wear purple, sometimes it is nice to not have the same colored scrubs as someone else, because when I come in, someone may remember me because I had a different color scrubs on, but also will know that I'm somebody different than a surgeon or a nurse or physical or occupational therapy. So sometimes that's helpful as well. And then I just kind of run through, and I really let the patients guide. So, the demographic stuff, like, can you confirm your name and date of birth? That's all going to be the same, right? When I talk about like who your support system is, I like to get to know the patient a little bit, you mentioned you're married, but you don't want your wife listed as an emergency contact. Tell me a little bit more about that. Are you working? I want to make sure that if people are working, they need work letters. We make sure that we're communicating with their employer so that they aren't, stressed about trying to leave. Because that's a lot of times what happens, right? Oh my gosh, I'm going to be here 2 weeks. I can't afford to be out of work that long. And then they end up trying to leave sooner. And so a lot of what I have to do is help navigate, helping patients navigate those barriers. So how can I help you so that you can stay here to get the care that you need, so that you don't have to come back and have like even more of an infection or something worse happen? I always, at the end is when I kind of go over my resource packet after I've gone through my kind of intake assessment, and spend a little time going through that. And then I always ask if, they have any questions. I know I threw a lot at you. They usually don't have any questions, or sometimes they do. And then we try within the same week, if not the same week, at least the next week, once or twice a week, going in, checking in. How are you doing? Have people, have you been having any visitors? Because that's a big component, right? If you don't have anybody visiting in the hospital, it can be kind of depressing after a while. So have you had any visitors? Like, how are you coping? What are some things that, you've been able to do? Are you able to go outside? Sometimes we'll print off like coloring pages, just things that we can try to help distract if there aren't any visitors. And then always kind of reinforcing that discharge plan. Have they been talking to you? Or, hey, this is kind of what they're recommending for you at discharge, because that's stressful too. Like, I'm going to go home. I have this really big wound on my leg. I don't have any help at home. And, maybe they do have a payer source. And so we kind of go through what that process looks like and reinforcing that. And then sometimes we have patients who don't have homes or don't have a payer source. And we're also working through what that may look like and making sure we have a safe discharge. So I try every week, at least, once or twice a week, between myself and my interns. I always have two. We're reinforcing what is that discharge plan looking like, just checking in, coping skills. And then also we coordinate with our burn psychology, because they have a little more time to do some of those therapeutic modalities, and doing like that mindfulness and helping with some of the anxiety that may be associated with dressing changes, or, maybe some difficult news that's shared about a loved one, or a surgery that didn't go as planned.
Wow. So it's so awesome, because you it's the glue again.
Yep.
But
so I'm telling you, it's the glue. We just need more glue.
Because most of, like you were saying about the purple scrub people, is most everyone is there with their specific part of your healing physically. And you're able to sort of ease some worries about what's life going to be like going forward, and all the other aspects of your life, work and home and transportation, all that stuff that is probably going through the patient's mind. That's very cool. So what would you want to share with others about your role? I think you've shared so much about, it's been just very insightful. I love learning about this, but how your role, it can really empower and support further burn healing.
Yeah. I think that, don't underestimate the social worker on the team. Like, we don't know as much as a surgeon or nurse, but we know the psychosocial needs of patients pretty well. And we know kind of what to look for and help navigate some of those barriers that may be why a patient wants to leave against medical advice or is resistant to treatment. We do a lot of, training, and, we're licensed professionals. And so we have to learn how to do, navigate some of those difficult conversations and help kind of reword or reframe a patient's thinking. And so we can kind of help patients get there with time. It may not be one conversation, it may be more than one conversation. So I think that's really important. Importance of resources and connection is really important as well. I think that's something that I want the team to always know that they can come to me for. If I don't have it, I will try my best to find it, or I will make it up if it's something we don't have. I think that's really the most important part, and that we're the glue, and we'll get all the juicy details that we need to. And then I think that I don't think I have to remind the team that I'm a burn survivor. I don't walk into work every day and go, "Hi, don't forget," But I think sometimes if conversations or like care can get distracted, kind of reminding, well, maybe looking at it from this perspective, maybe this is why the patient or family is coming from that perspective, and just kind of getting them to rethink about what's really going on.
That being stated, and recognizing your dual role as a burn survivor as well, if you could offer any insights or encouragements or ideas to burn survivors in healing that might be listening to this podcast, what might you say or share?
I think that burn survivors, I said it earlier, are some of the most resilient and inspiring people. I get to see some of the most horrific accidents that turn into patients and families that are thriving, and they're doing amazing things with their lives, and having impacts on others. Cliche, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's just sometimes everybody's journey is a little different. Healing is not linear. That's a big thing I always say. When people do ask me about my injury, I don't talk about it too much, because it's not about me in that dual role, but I'll share a little bit, and just at the end remind them that my journey and experience is not going to be the same as yours. And everybody is different. And I think that you can take this and make it what you want out of it. You can let this hold you back, or you can have this power you forward into doing something greater. And but I also think there's importance in grieving the loss, because there can be a loss of the life that you had before, or the things that you were able to do before, but it doesn't change you as the person that you are to everyone else. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, recognize what happened, feel the emotions appropriately around it, and also recognize that there's a little bit of your choice to empower the change you want forward.
And some days are going to be easy, and some days are going to be hard. And again, that's part of the healing, not being linear. That's okay.
Yeah. There's
no time stamp on when you're supposed to be this perfect sealed up box. Okay, now go back into society. You're all good.
Well, is there ever any perfect sealed up box of a human being, let alone of an injury? I mean, I haven't seen any perfect people walking around on this earth. So.
I know, I haven't either. We all have our flaws. That's what makes us.
Amen, sister. Well, thank you so much, Ashley, for your time, the passion and heart with which you carry the social work role in the hospital, and the additional insights and connections that you can relay to other survivors in healing. Truly, you are the glue that maintains the cohesion of the burn interdisciplinary team. It was super cool and interesting to hear like some of the more detailed aspects of your job, and how how important you are to like pulling everything together and making sure that the patient leaves like feeling confident about going forward in life. Super cool. And we are very grateful for you for being here.
I appreciate you guys having me and recognizing that the role is important.
Yes.
We get shadowed by all of the other things that are going on because it's a really big change.
Yeah.
I think that's a big reason too why we really wanted to do a season around just all the different helpers in healing, because there are some that people naturally think of, but there's so many others that people don't. And yet it takes such a big team to really affect the ultimate change and quality healing potential.
I agree.
Well, as with every episode, we're going to end our podcast journey today with a special takeaway. We always like to provide a skill that maybe you can apply, you can use forward in your healing journey. Maybe you can share it with your social worker, with your family, with others as well. And our takeaway today is going to be a little bit of a meditation. And yes, I do have a rock today. It's going to be meditating like a rock. This is one of my most favorite rocks. I'm really into crystals and rocks and gems. Yes, it was that nerdy child who collected fossils and knew every fact about dinosaurs, but we're not going to be working with dinosaurs today. We're going to be working with a rock. So rocks are natural formations made up of one or more minerals. They're bonded together by heat, by pressure. They're smooth. They're shaped by water. Over millions and millions of years, rocks may look immovable and unchanging, but given the right elements, even they can grow and change. So perhaps in your healing journey, you've felt at times like a rock. Maybe you've felt pushed or pressured or stuck or hard or heavy. So I encourage you to let this meditation perhaps guide you to connect with those feelings and find your sense of growth and attunement. And for this meditation, you'll need a rock or stone. Could be any rock or stone, doesn't need a special one. This is just my favorite one, so that's why I brought it. And you're going to hold this rock or stone in your hands. And I invite you to at first just feel its weight. If you were to ground yourself like this rock that you're holding, that sense of heaviness, that sense of connection to the earth, maybe you let your feet root deeply in wherever you're sitting, wherever you're standing at. Any of your feet rooting like moss at the bottom of a heavy stone. And just taking some breaths in and out, letting your muscles relax as you connect to this image. As you ground like that rock, maybe letting go of some tension perhaps you've been holding. And simply allow yourselves to be, rooting into the earth, maybe like a centuries-old rock. And continuing with your breath in and out, I invite you to roll whatever rock you're holding, roll it around in your hand, and feel maybe its sides. Is it pocked with rough patches? Or is it smooth all over? Does it have any jagged edges? What color is it? Maybe you start to notice, what's this rock telling you about itself? What's its story? Maybe what has it seen? Where has it been? And continuing to breathe in and out, just listening, noticing. What might this rock be telling you about you? What can you learn from maybe its strength, its presence, its appearance, its resilience, its steadfastness? Continuing to breathe as you look, as you notice, as you reflect on the interconnection perhaps of you and this rock. Remembering how you are the earth and all its creation is yet in you. And perhaps you take an opportunity to thank your rock for being such an example of grounding, for giving you an opportunity to recognize the support you have available amidst yourself. Notice what even the simplest things in life have the capacity to teach you. And just take a moment to appreciate and reflect on that. And maybe you choose to keep and carry this rock with you as a reminder. Maybe you place it in a special place or bring it back from time to time. You are a rock. You have such ability to affect change and to hold yourself and move yourself forward.
I love that. That is really grounding.
Rocks also come from the ground,
exactly.
so I had to say that.
But no, that's a wonderful meditation. I love that, and it really reminds us of sort of like we're all one. We are one with the rock. You always come up with the best meditations, Lori. We really appreciate you.
Bringing in just a whole different sense of healing to life. I love, like, beyond the physical, there's just so many aspects of ourselves as human beings. And I think sometimes we get caught up in the day-to-day and logistical aspects. So I'm always going to bring something back to, like, the body.
Yes.
Where are you at in your body now?
We all need to take a moment to just be still, and we all could use that.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So we're done, you guys, for this episode. So in closing, Changed by Fire is a 501c3 nonprofit committed to helping burn survivors and their families and those care providers who work with them cope and thrive through the burn injury and healing process. Emotionally, psychologically, and socially, utilizing alternative healing methods such as EFT, equine therapy, burn scar massage, yoga, hypnotherapy, music therapy, meditation, breathwork, and more. And we are excited to provide regular community events that involve a lot of those different modalities. It's so much fun in Arizona to enhance the relationships and community, as well as we're actively building out our website to showcase even more virtual supports for those of you who are not here in Arizona or can't make it to our events. So check out the new online portal at our website, which showcases a variety of recorded alternative healing options to explore and further your own healing and whole body return to connection. So we're at www.changedbyfire.org. And if you are interested in being on the podcast, sharing your tools for healing, your story, or if you are a practitioner and would like to further help us expand our reach, please reach out to us. So,
I'm really excited about this online portal too.
It's so cool.
We have over 10, I know we have over 10 different practitioners thus far that have provided information, collaborated on. And it's just great to have access to healing modalities. I mean, there's yoga, there's breath work, there's sound, there's compassion focus. There's so many different choices thus far, and we're growing and expanding that. So I love the opportunity and the idea to really just expand that reach and accessibility, because unfortunately, a lot of alternative healing supports are not really provided, or insurance doesn't apply to a lot of those things. So we have a great opportunity to kind of like build a niche of support that's accessible and available to
and all in one place. You don't have to look at multiple different websites to try to find each of those things. We have it all there for you burn survivors.
The hub of care.
Yeah.
So until next time, we always end with our HEAL acronym, which is also the name of this podcast. H, have some intentional gratitude for the resources provided to you by your social worker. Encourage others, E, of the value of this role and explore its use to maybe empower your own healing further. A, allow for access to needs, resources, the things that best augment your own support. And L, let others in to be a part of your healing team and circle, because it really does take a village.
Heck yeah.
Until next time, heal and keep moving towards that well and whole for you.
Yay. See you next
See y'all
time.
soon.